Good evening, everypony, and welcome to Commentary's Magic Stream on tonight, Sunday, August 22nd, 2021. I am, as always, Grandpaws.
Big Cheese.
Arcat, and Ivory is currently on a different trip, and will be rejoining us next time.
Are you saying we're on a trip right now?
No.
A trip down memory lane.
To last week. Wow.
Yes. It feels like it was a year ago. I wish it was a year ago.
No, you don't.
Yeah, then it would be Continentals again.
Non-Continentals? Anyway.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Anyway, so I think we've got a bunch of results to talk about, because an actual con? Question mark?
Right? I had forgotten what those were even like. Turns out they're fun. Who knew?
They're kind of fun.
Turns out they're shenanigans.
They are also that, too. Big thank you to everyone who was able to travel and show up and play in person. And again, thank you to those of you who signed up for Spirit Badges online or watched the stream. And of course, a huge thank you to Meticulous Talks, Cursed Chords, and Hithrock for providing live commentary.
Yes. So those of you who have signed up for Spirit Badges, those went in the mail. What is today? Sunday?
Yes.
2 or 3 days ago. So those will start showing up domestically in the next probably day or two, and internationally in who knows.
With that being said, we've got quite a few deck lists to get through, so let's start at the top, shall we?
All right. So let's see. North American Continental's Core Championship. Let's start with the champion. I like how much pink is in this deck.
It's a lot of pink.
So this was a Pinkie Pie Party Cannoneer Living to Laugh deck that was piloted by Bugle to his third successful Continental Championship win. An identical list was also piloted by Ivory Starlight, who also placed top 4.
And I think we've talked quite a bit about this list as one that, hey, you really, really, really should be, thinking about this in the context of Continentals, because it's gonna show up.
Yeah, it turns out there may have been some mistakes made in that, because a lot of people did think about it, and a lot of people teched against it, but not the card that matters. Look at this card. Look at this main. Look at the win conditions color. Look at all the cards that share that color. You see those cards? Those cards don't matter.
Basically.
You want to know which card matters?
Purple.
Which card matters?
This one.
Mysterious
right here. Right here.
Yeah, it turns out Legacy Leech kind of wins games and tournaments.
We'll talk more about that one later, though.
Suffice it to say, between the combination of Party Cannoneer being able to pitch your entire hand and skipping class giving you another option for doing so, plus regular Pinky Sense triggers, you can fill up your discard pile with events a lot faster than previous decks had been able to. And when you can turn all of those cards in your discard pile into action tokens, and also fewer cards that get put back in your deck if the opponent plays a school shutdown, it basically means your opponent, or it basically means you have inevitability. And in fact, that's kind of what we saw in the top 8.
My favorite card in this list is Blindfold.
Why is Blindfold your favorite card in this list?
Because it was added for Reanimator, and you know what got sideboarded out against Reanimator?
Blindfold?
Blindfold. Yeah, I think it was like Blindfold, Golden Parachute, and maybe one of the Mysterious Disappearances.
That sounds about right. So yeah, being able to suddenly gain 14 action tokens per turn, combined with a lot of card draw, combined with a means of shutting your opponent off from spending action tokens help this deck absolutely dominate.
Yeah. So not too much of a surprise here, I think. Okay.
We want to take. Go ahead.
Yeah. Let's look at the runner-up here.
Oh, I forgot to thank one more person. Thank you, Aura, for judging the first in-person con event that we've had in quite some time and helping things go smoothly.
I could hiss at that, but it was interesting and weird actually being there in person again. I very much missed the thing in Discord that just pinged people automatically at 5 and 10 minutes. Well, let's see. Here's our second place list, piloted there by Big Cheese. And we talked about this one too, actually.
Yes, we did.
It doesn't need, I think, much of an introduction. This is obviously Reanimator. But I know
There's
that
some
you
differences.
I know that, yeah, you use those 5 cards worth of wiggle room to rather great effect.
All 5. If I remember correctly, Aurora Borealis, Zesty Gourmand, an extra school shutdown. Oh, then the 2 motivational speeches.
So Aurora was actually in the list that we talked about
she
on
was?
stream.
Okay, she was in the original one, yeah.
Yeah, it was the 2 speeches, the second school shutdown, the Zesty, and I believe the 3rd heat wave.
Yeah, that's what it was. Okay.
Turns out that Zesty was designed for the mirror match.
It worked.
It worked. Ask Cheese about it later.
It was a great play.
That play, I think, transcends just spicy and ups to zesty.
Yeah, that's about right. I will say, in hindsight, adding the second school shutdown was definitely a mistake, and the first one may have even been a mistake. Those 2 probably should have been Legacy Leech.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Hindsight is, in fact, 2020.
It's 2021, though.
Well, you see, but you're wrong, Oath, because this is March 539th.
No, it's not. No, yes, it's not. No, I know it is. I don't want to talk about it.
I did the math. It's pretty close. Let's see. You also piloted a identical copy of this, I believe, to top 4?
Correct.
Okay. So we will go ahead and not do the other 2 top 4 decks because, spoilers, we've already seen them.
They're the same.
I will say it was entertaining playing this and over the course of the tournament realizing we had more ways than we thought of being able to reanimate earlier and earlier.
Yeah, we got, I think there's like a 518 one.
There is a turn 2 reanimate play. It just requires you to have double rushed makeover and in my head like a catchy song.
Yeah. I don't know. I never did that one.
No, I thought you did it once. Did you not do it once?
Me?
No, you didn't. I did. I did it once against Kevin.
It's fun.
It is.
Yeah, it is unfortunate that match didn't get streamed or recorded because that was amusing.
The one versus Kevin?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it did.
No, wait, there was another one, wasn't there?
It was me and Cheese in the mirror, and that one was dumb.
Ah, yes.
It was an interesting match.
It was an interesting match. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Let's see. So into top 8. I think our next player here is Double R Forest with a Selena whitelist. So this is kind of spicy, actually. we got a little bit of taxes going on. Got a little point denial. It's just a bunch of fun stuff in here. You know, fun for the player. Not so much for their opponent, which is kind of, you know, what this deck wants to do.
Yeah, even the problem deck kind of mimics what's going on in the draw deck here, where you've got just the dream of hyper acceleration aggro cards with Rarity Pony Pirate for point gain and Final Question there in the problem deck as well. And then you also have these awesome control cards like Plaid Stripes and Sand Smirk alongside Prospecting Interruption and Down the Drain. Spoon. And apparently both Double R Forest and Top Deck have said that Rescue Party is going to be replaced in their decks with Plushy Dash now that they have playsets.
Yeah,
which
seems good.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Get you a lot of good movement there. It's a little light on friends, but not too bad. You do, of course, have the main, and of course we've got the easiest pie thing going on. And you've also got some Father of Monsters going on there to whistle up the easiest pies.
You can definitely do that.
And I think with the addition of Plushy Dash, you could probably actually go and start farming the Grogarves too.
Well, the Plushy Dash will be real nice because that's going to mean that every mono blue friend you have in the deck drags at least one other thing with it when it gets played because your main is blue.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be pretty spicy. And with Pony Pirate and Stripes and Greta and Rescue Party, you can actually get a little bit of work out of the discount on a Changeling Can Change, in addition to just the move and challenge versus. So.
Mm-hmm. Not bad.
Yeah, not bad. Daybreaker might be an interesting shift in here if you wanted to go a little bit more aggro. And there's certainly other white cards that could be run wanting to go more control. Getting Mistmane to get back Tempest Shadow or even Rarity could be fun. But a very neat Selena list, and as Meticulous Talks talked about yesterday, every Selena list we saw here was different.
Yeah, they all got
there
their
were
own
quite
little...
a few of them, but they were different.
Yeah, they all have their own little spin on things here. Each of them is different and unique. Speaking of Selena lists, let's take a look at another one. Let's see, this is Sokol's top 8 finish. This should actually look fairly familiar. I believe this has... no changes to accommodate for any of the printed playsets?
You are correct. This is straight up printed mono blue. Friends Forever is the cutoff.
Yep.
And honestly, it doesn't seem to have suffered too much in its run lacking those cards. Still ended up placing very well.
Yeah, this was my one loss in Swiss.
Oh yeah, because those burrito attacks...
It's just fast.
Yeah, it goes fast, and those burrito attacks are just like, that's nice that you've got a 5-power friend there, scare it.
Well,
if you don't find Twilight.
If you don't find Twilight, which is, I think, the problem I had.
Yeah.
Yeah, going monocolor and mono blue definitely does increase consistency, and the loyal sea ponies are quite nice in being able to grab either another loyal pony or Swinging Wonders back.
Yeah, and then occasionally the Pony of Shadows will come out and just dump something valuable on you and just be like, oh, well then. Usual thing with Seleno and Easiest Pie. Also the Grubber and Tempest trick. Only using the Troublemaker. A little bit niche, but still works.
Flip them both up at the same time. Dismiss the Grubber.
Get the good version of Grubber. Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, Yellow Poet Paris Bright's still a good card. Grubber's going to be here for a while. Kinda good.
Buckball and Washout to help aggro and low confront aggro. Now, are there cards in the print and play sets that this deck would benefit from? Absolutely. But the core is still here.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, another top 8 deck. This one's a little bit rogue, and I have to give it a hissing because it involves the Traitor to the Hive.
That's fine. I also have to give it a hissing for obscene consistency across 4 different games.
So the thing with this is it opens with Buckball strategy, and would prefer to drop Lusterdon into play as its additional power, along with the Traitor, to get that first confront and go online.
You say prefer as though your opponent has a choice in the matter. No, what actually happens in real life is it opens with Buckball strategy, and then 100% of the time, turn 2 plays Lusterdon.
Seems good.
It was good.
Heart of the cards.
Also a deck that was constructed very late in the meta cycle. I think the night before Continentals, the pilot here made a shift from one color to another. And we see School Shutdown and Legacy Leech in here both as methods of countering Reanimator and Living to Laugh.
Yeah, and it's also got a fair amount of point acceleration and a bunch of just really good obnoxious tools in here, like, Unsats.
Unsat is definitely annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Rain Shine over there, which is kind of a good one, because if you can call this correctly, you can just completely shut down a Legacy Leech with her. Granted, it may only delay it a turn, but that's still pretty obnoxious.
If you have a Legacy Leech in hand, that turn matters.
Yes, it does.
Rainshine is also nice as a cheap, efficient friend. 1 cost 2 power friend with Thorax, very useful.
Yep.
And also very useful with Pegasus Royal Guard, which unfortunately was sideboarded out versus Reanimator to answer many questions about why that card wasn't played.
Then moving over a little bit, we've got Kool-Aid Yak, always a favorite.
I don't want to talk about that card.
Very annoying card.
And a lot of just other good solid cards in here. So this was actually kind of neat to see this show up, just because, at least on paper, this is a pretty good counter to a good chunk of the meta.
Yeah, Kevin definitely read the meta pretty well. It just really came down to high roll versus high roll.
Yeah. Let's see. One last top 8 list to take a look at here. This one piloted by Pancake. Got some good stuff in here. Got some more Kool-Aid Yaks.
This deck is madness.
Got some blindfolds.
This deck doesn't work very well when you don't have any yellow in the first, 20 cards.
Well, I mean, most mono 2-color decks don't really like getting started with entry very well. So, bit of a go figure there. I think Kevin stole his luck.
Could be the case. Let's look at the meta hate that's in here. So you've got Yona and Sanctuary Scuffle and Blindfold, all of which are great against Reanimator. You've got Grogar's Lair, which is pretty irritating for Living to Laugh to deal with in order to meet its Unity requirement, unless it has a Mysterious Disappearance. And Raptor Razor, which generates a bunch of tokens that Party Cannoneer can't hit. Fluttershy and Bulk to allow you to instantly get point gain instead of relying on having to keep Daybreaker around. Riled Up as an answer to Heatwave. Spooky Ruins to stop people from drawing and secure your face-off flips. This thing is teched.
You got a couple of other I don't want to say usual things, stuffed in here, but we got the Seleno Tempest thing going on. I don't think you're really sad to see any of your friends get picked up by Pony of Shadows here.
I mean, there are bad times to get Plushy Dash, but
there are.
Is there actually no resource? There is no resource removal in this list.
Yes,
No, there's
there
two.
is.
There's Winter Zillas there, Animoy.
Yes, there is. Nice set of stuff on the problem deck too. So if you want to talk about explosive turns, here you go. Seleno's just... she likes going fast. Now, should we take a look at the remaining 4 decks?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. 9th place, piloted by Instagram. I think he said this was a bit of an experiment, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, some heavy changeling synergies here, along with kind of a hats sub-theme. And I was listening to the Meticulous Talk stream earlier today, commenting on the fact that this has both Unity 15 Rarity and Unity 15 AJ.
that seems aggressive. How's it going to get the AJ?
The answer is it doesn't matter. You're not using AJ for her Unity 15. You're using her for her first ability because all your other friends are going to be at 4 or more power, and a single hat on her will bring her up.
Yeah.
I will say I was shaking quite a bit when he dropped a Stolen Talent against me.
That's a really good tech against Reanimator. It's like, oh, that's a nice friend in your discard pile. It'd be a shame if I were to banish it and take its abilities for my own.
And which is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
That makes the Reanimator player sad when it's like, oh.
Bugle comments on liking the cozies doing the same thing when someone's above 8 points. Yep.
Your friends? No. Our friends.
And Fairings to steal them if they're in play. So much stealing.
I like this list. It has
this is a fun list.
There's too much thorax in it. Yes, I know there's no thorax in it. That's too much thorax.
I was going to say, there's not even any thorax in this list. What are you talking about?
Too much thorax. Right.
There's just as... Are there more? There are almost as many unchanged changelings as changelings. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. I'll allow it. Here. Let's see, 10th place? Top deck here. Alright, so this... I think I have to give top deck some kind of award just for the spiciness of this deck. We got us a Capper Dapper Paws.
Fair number of even cards throughout here, so flips are going to be pretty good. And running the Granny Smith plus Daybreaker and Tough Questions plus Daybreaker synergies, so those are awfully nice. Plus you're even throwing in some Grogar's Bells, so with all the face-offs that you're starting, that'll work well. There was a little bit of misunderstanding on the fact that you do have to banish the flipped card as soon as it happens, or as soon as it is flipped with Grogar's Bell, so hopefully you were in a position where you don't need that to win the face-off.
Yeah, and it does have some Flash Magnus shields, and a stick. Sticks are always good.
Sticks are nice.
Sticks are very nice. This is the second deck that has one stick.
Yeah, I suspect that one might be card availability. Got our... The easy as pies are a little bit interesting here. I feel like those are tech against opposing mains. I
mean, they're partially there, but you want to use Capper's ability more often than not, so you're going to flip Capper back over again.
Okay. I guess I could see those getting kept in most of the time. I feel like those might get sideboarded out in certain matchups.
I think you'll find that Tempest Shadow goes with Capper about as hard as she does with Seleno.
Fair enough, I guess. Only have 2 of, though. More interesting lists.
Next one.
Let's see here.
Is this next to last? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. This is 11th place with Silver Hooves. I think this is a pretty standard Pegasi aggro list. Got a couple of interesting things in here. We got that Ember, actually. Kind of an interesting one. I do enjoy the Meadowbrook's mask in here because, really, Fluttershy's just going to be chilling at home.
Yeah.
Might as well sit there and just be like, oh, it's a shame you brought that 20 power thorax. I'm not going to do anything.
It's kind of hard to get thorax to 20 power.
Not with set 13, it's not.
We're not talking about those cards yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, there are some inclusions in here from Leaders and Legends, and at least one problem from New Dawn, it looks like. And a few interesting omissions as well. But the core of it seems to be pretty, Pegasi standard.
Yep. Interesting variation on it, but yeah. It's a Pegasi-ish list. Let's see. One more, I think, which is Diamond Song in 12th place. This looks pretty familiar.
This looks like thorax.
It does look like thorax. Yes. Silver Hooves had a list that originally had chillaxes in it, which were replaced with motivational speeches, I think.
This is, at first glance, a zesty attempt to cast a wide net at dealing with a possible meta.
Zesty.
There are some cards in here that are good.
Why is this running Underwater Explorers?
Look at all the things that keeps it the problem. Oh, those ones.
Yeah.
Correct. Not treading water.
Underwater Explorers.
Yeah, okay. I had to stop and go, wait, what?
I also am a little curious as to why this deck is not running the card that probably would have terrified a deck that I know Diamond was gunning for somewhat in the meta a little more. Where are the yaks?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those even stay at the problem, too.
Oof. That's annoying.
That is very annoying for basically anything that's running Big Friends. I don't know. It looks like this could probably use a little bit more entry into orange. Well, I'm assuming that's what those were for.
Well, motivational speech, FOF, and Underwater Explorers, which paying for
is kind of
2
rough,
power in a color is real bad.
No. You're not paying 4. You're paying 3.
Because you're going to use Defend the Hive?
No, you're going to use Pirate Ship.
Oh.
It's possible.
Still not great.
Rush
No,
Makeover, I think, would have probably been a better choice here, but
Or I think there's some other friends that would be good.
An interesting attempt at a rogue deck that unfortunately just didn't work out this time.
Yeah. Ah, yes, Gavin. Fair point. Okay, let's see. So I think that was our Continental's field. It was a bit small, but let's be fair. The plague is still kind of a thing.
Obligatory wash your hands, wear a mask, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we had more events than just Continentals there.
Harmony.
It is a format that some people do play when they don't have to be at opening ceremonies for an hour and a half.
Yeah. When they didn't have time to build a deck.
Yeah, it seems fine. Let's take a look at our Harmony list. This one, of course, was much smaller because it was the literal first event in the CCG room.
It may have actually tied for... This may have actually beaten opening ceremonies to being the first event at the con.
It was.
Because opening ceremonies started late.
Opening ceremonies never starts as per the schedule. Neither do any CCG events, but I think we actually won this one, yeah. Let's see here. So, first place in Harmony. This... Didn't we ban this main? No, it's a different main. This was piloted by Bugle. And honestly, this really does look like the I forget what Bugle called that thing.
Twihard?
Yeah, Twihard. So it's a new generation of Twihard.
Yeah.
Yes, here we go. If at first you don't succeed, twy again.
The problem was you did succeed all those previous times.
I think it's going to continue succeeding, though, is the thing.
Yeah. It's a good deck. It has the same toolbox.
Yep, same toolbox. A lot of the usual suspects in a Harmony deck here. We got Iraqi Yellow Parasprites. You know, just all that good stuff.
Got some fireworks, got a little bit of chaos going on, Mayor for resource removal, Dr. Hooves to find Dr. Hooves for free to give you value. That is just good stuff.
Yeah, just lots of good stuff. That's AT gain, good old paper twice.
Yeah.
Now you might sit here. You might sit here and look at this deck with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 events and 3 gyros and be like, man, that's a pretty sweet toolbox. You've got a lot of different events to choose from. Nah.
Nah.
Hit the button.
Hit the button. That's not enough events. I need more events.
Blam!
What even is this deck?
Let's see. This is Grandpa's running amok with Trixie combo. Doing Hithrock proud.
And Andrew and Living Silver.
But Hithrock's going to count this as an absolute win because there's a Trixie in the upper left corner.
Is this actually a Living to Laugh combo?
Yes!
With a single copy of Living to Laugh.
Okay, so Bugle sits here and says, we thought his Legacy Leeches were dumb. The thing is, this deck never needed to play Legacy Leech. It had 2 of them in there. It doesn't need them. There's too much AT generation in this as is. Just add a 3rd, read the manual, and then put something else in there.
Misfire.
And you're fine. Sure, we can add a misfire.
Misfire for the mirror, because why not?
Yeah, there you go. So it's the same kind of Trixie combo that we saw in the past, except this time we've got the tech of Friendship Summons to find a Twilight Sparkle zeroed out using blue off of Trading Traditions, and then playing Twilight Sparkle to put a Lord Tyrek into play. And if your opponent has a character at the problem where Lord Tyrek is, congratulations, you have not only forced your opponent to start a face-off at their next Troublemaker phase, but you have 5 blue in play so you can meet the requirements of Sonic Rainbow. And if your opponent doesn't have a character there, you just play Twilight's Epiphany and move them up to Lord Turek. And if you never find the Lord Turek, you just do what Ivory does and go off main phase outside of a face-off.
Rude.
How do you do that?
That one requires Legacy Leech.
Yeah, like
Very rude.
That was a disrespectful play.
Would you go so far to say it was zesty?
It was pretty zesty. The win con can be easily swapped out from Living to Laugh over to Miss Main by including some juggling routines and just doing that again. You'll need to run a Philly second, but yeah, there's other options there.
Yeah. Let's see. So this was piloted by GP to second place. Ivory also came in fourth place with a copy of this.
Yeah.
Shenanigans.
It's a stupid deck.
Indeed. Let's see. Let's take a look at third place here. Got us another Pegasi-ish list. Well, there's a card.
Pegasi.
There's a card we haven't seen in a while. Got some Night Gliders going on.
Philomena, Night Glider.
This is a good card.
Close air support.
Philomena's kind of irritating.
Barely even Harmony.
Doesn't
It's
need
just
to go.
3 cards. Like
It doesn't dip its toes too far in. Doesn't
It's
need to.
It's adventure.
I suppose that's true. This would be adventure legal, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Yeah? Huh. Alright.
Philomena is a much more fair jerk face.
Well,
Not
hold
bad.
on to your hats for a moment, because the next person will help us get back to unfair territory real fast.
Let's
What a
see.
diamond. Oh.
Diamond Song in fifth place. I like this deck.
This is just abusive. It's running blue just for jerk face.
Alright, so we've got some Queen up in the corner. Unfortunately, that's not the important. Well, that is part of the important part here. We've also got Jerkface and Spoons. And I think we talked about
And
this
Wink.
before. Oh yeah, the Winks are just icing on top of this particular cupcake here. But the magical happy Christmas time play here is you get a Flip Chrissy, a Jerkface, and Spoons. And then your opponent is sad.
Yeah, then your opponent is sad for a very long time. Now, there are other cards in here that could help capitalize on that situation, like Yellow Parasprites, for instance.
That's just rude.
Yeah, why do all these Harmony decks not have 3 yellow Parasprites?
I mean, 12 sets later, it still wins games.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I never got to see her pull off the lock. I did see her with Spoons in play. That tax is still heavy.
Tax is
It
in fact
really
heavy.
is.
Especially when you're playing a bunch of small cheap stuff. Like, this is not a deck you want to run up against unless you're like playing Reanimator. And even then, it's still like...
It's frustrating.
Okay. Let's see. Our last entrant to Harmony was Kevin. This should also look pretty familiar. It's a different variation on a theme.
This is combo.
It's got a Living to Laugh in it. It's also got Sunset Festivals in it just for the rude factor.
3 of them.
Yeah, they're fun.
Sunset Festival should only be run as a 51st card.
No, I run a rack of them. They're fun.
He's gonna struggle with that Unity 15 pink here.
That's a lot of multicolor friends.
I mean, I guess he doesn't have belly flop to chuck the tokens away, so
Yeah, and he gets to keep the 2 tokens.
yeah, that's fair.
That's 7 right there.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It seems fine. Now, the real trick here is you're supposed to play the Sunset Festival to whistle up an opponent's cadence and then just grin at them.
Well,
Yes.
after playing surprise party notes to put the cadence on top of their deck.
Right? Seems good. Yeah, I got the Spitfires and the Angel Wings and the Gavies. Seems fine.
It's a fun one. I can dig it.
Yeah. I think that's it for the constructed deck list. Yeah. All right.
We also had meme sealed between, what was it, Absolute Discord, Marks in Time, and Sequestria.
Yeah.
That
was actually
no. That was the. Didn't we get that backwards? I thought the meme sealed was the Defenders block stuff.
No, you have gotten that backwards twice now.
I'm going to continue getting it backwards.
Apparently. Now, meme sealed was AD, Marks in Time, and Sequestria, and standard sealed was Defenders block.
So, highly chaotic, especially with having to split into teams of 2. I hope you like ties. I like ties.
So many
there
ties.
were a lot of ties.
There were a lot of ties.
I forget who actually won that event. Or if it was just tied.
I think by the end of it, we were just sitting there playing for fun, because that was actually... that was really interesting and weird, having to pull out some of those older cards and some of the crazy interactions we got into.
I just made go home.deck, like
You
I do
always
with every
made
Sequestria
Go home.deck.
draft or limited event.
Yeah.
You sure did. It was also amusing to see that there were at least 3 decks that were pink-purple control, and at least 3 of their partners that were playing some variant of blue-orange.
Well, I mean, Marks in Time was involved, so go figure.
Yeah. One of those decks was way better than the others.
It happens sometimes.
Well, one of those decks had Thunder Lane.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
I do think we have a couple of other things to go over here. So as we touched on earlier, Legacy Leech made a bit of a showing. By a bit of a showing, I mean a lot of a showing. By a lot of a showing, I mean this card really needs to, like...
It would not be...
Take a visit to the moon?
It would not be... Yes.
So...
Would you call this card bananas?
About to go bananas.
Yes. Yes, I would.
It would be pretty apt to say that there were several decks that were literally carried on the back of this card.
Yeah. So, this hasn't been announced yet, but look forward to this card taking a rapid, unscheduled trip to the moon.
If we're announcing it now, doesn't that make it scheduled?
No.
Fair. Yeah. Legacy Leech won't be sticking around in its current incarnation. It needs some pretty serious tweaking. And it's probably worth at least briefly addressing the fact that when a card has such an enormous impact on the meta and has such an incredible impact on individual games, there are often questions of what were they possibly thinking when they were designing this card? Which is fair. And the answer is, up until that point, we really hadn't seen event-heavy decks seeing a lot of play, primarily because most of the events that had been in core up until that time were relatively expensive. Expensive or slow, or both. And with the previous meta having been almost entirely aggro-focused, the control decks that could afford to run a lot of events to try to disrupt it had also fallen out of favor. Legacy Leech was originally intended to synergize as kind of a tempo or mid-range card with purple X aggro lists running cards like Restricted Section. Either seeing the purple-orange version we saw that ran Sudden Closure and Heat Wave and Spider Surprise and all that stuff, or the purple-blue one that runs last-minute changes and formation flying and stuff like that. But all of those decks were contingent upon playing those events to get them in the discard pile. And as we talked about with the Party Cannoneer list, that didn't have to be the case.
Just skip playing them, go directly to discard, do not pass go, do not collect $200.
Right. And Prism Light in chat is correct. Anything that can produce AT Windfall is combo bait. But it is worth noting that the meta in like the snapshot that we have for Continentals came about literally within 2 weeks of that event actually taking place. Had there been Party Cannoneer decks that tried to take advantage of Legacy Leech before? Yes. But most of those were far more friend-heavy. And even then, the earliest version of them that ran Legacy Leech were using Featherbangs. And when Featherbangs got kicked out, the deck shifted.
The thing is that shifts in how you build a deck like this don't happen instantaneously after a ban. They take some time for people to reconsider, rebuild, do their testing, etc. And had this particular interaction showed up sufficiently far before the event, it is entirely possible that we would have taken some sort of action to prevent this from turning into a problem. But quite frankly, it wasn't there at the time when we would have had an opportunity to make a change to the game.
Yeah, I mean, the change was very late to realizing how, like, it was even during the tournament, kind of, that they realized how important the card was.
There's also the other side of the coin where we just came out of a meta where Magical Misfire was present as a 1AT, 6-power flip, immediate speed, banish everything in a discard pile of your choice, and draw a card to replace itself. Discard pile hate like that, we did not want to see immediately come back, as it had been the end-all, be-all to anything that cared about its discard pile. And in many cases, just as a free means of cantripping and triggering effects that happen when you play events, because you'd run Rainbow Shine.
Or now you can run Tempest.
Right.
Kind of good.
So the original intent of Legacy Leech we'll try to stay as true to as we can. And it is important that purple has ways of interacting with the discard pile. It is one of the colors in this game that is most known for doing so. We'll just try to lower the ceiling a bit.
So I think the takeaway here is we're not entirely sure what this is going to get replaced with, but this is not sticking around as is. That's great, because it'll have plenty of time to decide what kind of bananas it likes on the moon.
I like the green ones.
The green ones?
I like the green ones. They survived the trip back to Earth.
Yeah.
But that's not the only card that we're really talking about here.
Oh? What else do we have?
Well, we were glad to see a few different aggro decks at Continentals this year. But it turns out that Party Cannoneer, as we had kind of discussed in months leading up to Continentals, has no minimum safe distance.
Pretty much.
When any single friend you can play is not guaranteed to last until your confront step. And the only cost for this is cards in an opponent's hand that can easily be refilled through a number of different means. While that by itself is not necessarily enough to completely dominate an entire meta, it certainly does edge archetypes further out. It turns out in this game about playing friends and confronting problems, people like to have friends.
And confront problems. And Pinky is sitting there like, nah.
Lol, no. Now, that being said, Pinky probably isn't going to be going away? Question mark. We're still kind of up in the air as to exactly how we're going to handle this.
Right, so I think it's more apt to say that Pinky's not going to end up on the moon, but she's certainly going to end up with a restraining order. Now, this being Pinky, we can't actually enforce this, but we know she'll sit there and be like, okay. And maybe quit, party cannoning ponies in the face.
Yes, we'll just take away her cannon, so it'll be Pinkie Pie partier.
I mean, she still has a cannon.
We're going to take away the touch stick. So she can't.
Gonna take some more time to prime and get ready.
Yeah.
And I would expect that we'll have more news on those two cards in the coming days.
Yeah.
And then I believe you had mentioned something earlier in this stream regarding spirit badges as well. Is that correct, Ara?
Uh-huh. So the spirit badges got put into the mail, I think Thursday or Friday. They ended up in the mail on Friday because I put them in there at 11-something o'clock at night. Whatever. Anyway, domestic mail, first-class mail normally takes about 2 days, so look for those either today or tomorrow if you're in the US. International stuff I'm less sure about. Some of those actually got across the pond within almost faster than domestic mail. So, keep an eye out in your mailbox for those.
With that, though, I think that will about wrap up our discussion on Continentals for today. We would like to give a big shout out to all our patrons on Patreon. Thank you so much for your regular support. If you aren't currently a patron and you enjoy what we do, please consider donating. Doing so does enable us to continue making content like this and lets you earn some great perks as a bonus. If you have comments or questions you'd like to send our way, feel free to reach out to us through Facebook, Twitter, or email. If you're a patron, you can also chat live with us on Slack any day, anytime.
I really was not kidding about 11 p.m.
Finally, if you're looking to watch any of our previous videos, including tournament recordings, you can find them on our YouTube channel, which is linked just below the stream. With all that said, thank you to each and every one of our viewers, both here now and watching this recording later. We are, as always, Commentary is Magic. I am, as always, Grandpaws.
Big G's.
Our cat, Ivory's still on vacation, as we said. Oh, Annaboy brings up a good point. Go sign up for Hacko. It's been a while since we had one of those.
Sure has. Go play Trixie. Or go play Spell for that. Or heck, go play Chrissy.
Or not. Play what you like. It's all good.
Nobody should play Chrissy.
We'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.